Mangalam sadhu veshaya shishya chitta vilasine vidita kila vedyaya moksha vigna vighatine saumya kashi nivasaya deshikaya viragine chaitanyananda rupaya jivan muktaya mangalam. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahe Tejasvina Vadhitamastu Ma Vidvishabhahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Sadguru Maharaj Ki Jai. Good evening. Nice to be here again. Our topic tonight is the foundation of the Advaita Vedanta philosophy. The Advaita Vedanta philosophy is one among many philosophies in India. And I'm not going to get into technicalities and all the history that is associated with this tradition. I would like to go straight to the teachings of this beautiful philosophy and try to share it with you. The Advaita Vedanta philosophy is dealing primarily with four basic questions. The first question that this philosophy and many other philosophies have to deal with is the question, who am I? The second question is referring to the world. What is the nature of this world? What is the essence of this world? The third question is regarding God. Is there God? Who is God? What he eats for lunch? We have to understand what is this thing that people call God. And the last question is, what is the relationship, what is the connection between my own self, the world, and God? So today, and maybe also tomorrow, we will try to deal a little bit with these four questions and see what this philosophy has to say. The first question is, who am I? Why is it so important to know myself? And whoever doesn't know themselves, normally in the West, to ask the question, who am I, is almost illegitimate, right? If somebody come and tell you, I want really to know who am I. Many times we will just direct him to a good psychiatrist and to try to help him to solve the problem, right? Because we assume that this question is so silly. We know, of course I know who am I. Every morning I meet myself when I wake up. But when we start to analyze this question, we start to see that maybe all of our understanding, all of our assumptions are questionable. Why is it important to know the answer for this question, who am I? The answer is that if you want to know anything, it is always in relation to your knowledge of yourself. Any knowledge that you can have in regard to anything else, it is always in relation to the way you perceive your own self. It is a little bit like a mathematical equation, like algebra. In school, when we were studying algebra, we were giving an equation. On one side, there will be a letter or some symbol. Then there will be the equal sign. And on the left side, on the right side, we will have a series of letters and numbers and all kind of things. And we have to reorder them, reshuffle them in a particular way, and then we will be able to solve this equation, right? Now, suppose I make a small mistake on the left side of the equation, just a small mistake. No matter how well I'm going to deal with the right side, I'm always going to get the wrong answer, right? In a similar way, when I want to understand anything around me, it is always in relation to my own self. All of our knowledge is always stemming from the way we understand and perceive ourselves. We are like the left side of the equation. If we make mistake in regard to our own self, no matter how much we are going to study the external world, we will never be able to figure it out. And therefore, the first thing that we have to do is to ask this question, who am I? We have to try to solve this riddle and to understand it very well. We will not take the whole process of this inquiry. In Sanskrit, we call it vicharana. Vicharana means self-inquiry. We will not take all the process, but we will just spend some time just to see, to understand what is the way that Vedanta is approaching this issue. Whenever somebody is asking me, who are you? I usually tell them my name, right? Swami Kashi. I was introduced to you 5 minutes ago as Swami Kashi. Now, is Swami Kashi define who am I? Of course not. It's very easy to see. Swami Kashi is a name, and a few years ago I had a different name. You know, when I was staff here in the ashram, my name was Brahmachari Shankar. If I am Swami Kashi, then when I was Brahmachari Shankar, I was somebody else. But this is not the case, right? It is the same person that was there, which is now. So the name can never define my own self. It is very easy to see. So who am I if I am not Swami Kashi? Who may I be? Well, second thing that I will do when somebody asks you, who are you? I will say, this is me. I will point to the physical body as being me, being myself. And we indeed have a very strong affiliation with the physical body. We identify with it, thinking that this is who we are. Now we have to challenge this assumption. We have to question it and see whether this is really the case. Am I this body? There are many, many ways to analyze it and talk about it and see that this is not possible. For example, the physical body is made of many different parts, right? Let's take my hand, for example. And now I'm asking myself, is this hand me? Well, it seems to be quite me, right? It is connected here to the whole thing, and I feel very much connected to this hand. But suppose now I amputate this hand and I put it over there, just 2 meters from me. And I ask myself, where am I? Am I here or am I there? Or maybe I'm partially here and partially there. Of course, you will all agree that I'm here, I'm not there. I'm missing a hand, true, but this is not me. But if this hand is not me when it is sitting there, how come it is me when it is connected here? You see? And you can do it with every part of the body. Of course, you cannot take out your brain. It will be a very sorrowful event, but it doesn't mean that the brain is you. It is the same thing. If you are not any one of the parts, then when you assemble them together, it cannot be you either. Right? Where does the physical body start and where does it end? Can you put a point where the physical body starts and where does it end? I have water in this cup. Is this water me? Evidently, this water is not me, right? Well, now, is this water me or not? Can you tell me at which point exactly it stopped being water and it starts being me? And later on, when I go to the toilet, forgive me, and I pee, am I losing myself there in the toilet? Right? You laugh. Why are you laughing? Because you know it doesn't make any sense. This water is not me now. It's not me when I leave it in the toilet. Therefore, it is not me also when it is running through the system. This water can never be me. Right? And it is true with everything, with the air we breathe, with the food we eat. Right? When we analyze the 5 koshas, some of you will learn about it in the teacher training course. We call this body Annamaya kosha. It is the food-permeated sheath. It is that vehicle which is made of food. There is nothing here which is not made of the food I ate yesterday, or the day before yesterday, or some other day. It is just food. How can food be me? The food is not me before I eat it. It is not me after it is evacuated. It cannot be me also in between. Moreover, I'm looking at my hand. Now I have a relationship with this hand of knower and known, subject and object, right? I am the knower and the hand being the known, right? There is a relationships of the knower of the known, of the subject and object. It is me who knows the hand, but the hand doesn't know me, right? If I know the hand and the hand doesn't know me, how can I be the hand? If I know this body, but the body doesn't know me, how can I be the body? The body doesn't know anything, right? Does my leg knows my nose? No. It is not like that, right? It is me who knows the body. And therefore, I must be something which is different and apart from the body. And this is a big news, right? We all have this very strong clinging, this very strong affiliation to the physical body, and it is very difficult for us to process this idea that we are not the physical body. We all understand these religious ideas and all this stuff, but actually to think this is not who am I is very revolutionary, I believe. All right? Okay, so I'm not Swami Kashi, I'm not this body also. Then who am I? Well, I'm shortening a little bit the process. As I told you, I will not go through everything. But normally, the next level, the next step that we are identifying with is the mind, right? We have very strong affiliation or identification with the mind as being ourselves. What is the mind? Let's divide the mind into its main functions. What do we see in the mind? We see sensations. What are the sensations? The information which is coming through the senses. Whatever is coming through sight, hearing, taste, etc., this is part of the mind. It is connected to our senses, the 5 indriyas. We also have emotions, right? All of us experience emotions. We have some visions, right? When we close our eyes and we think about horse, there is some picture of a horse in our mind. And we have thoughts, okay? This is more or less what we find in the mind. Now let's analyze each one of them and see if any one of them can fall into this category of myself, of me, okay? So sensations, of course sensations cannot be me because they come from outside. Whatever comes from outside, from the senses, cannot be me because I am on the receiving side of this, right? So I am not sensations. What about emotions? Emotions are much more difficult to discuss, to tackle, because we have a very strong affiliation with our emotions. When we have a strong emotion, it is very difficult to analyze my situation. It is very difficult to look into what is going on. We tend to identify with the emotion so strong. If somebody, suppose I'm very angry with somebody, and he tells me, hey, you are not the anger, this is not who you are. He better run very fast, right? Because that is going to be very painful. when we have very strong emotion, we lose ourselves and we find it very difficult to analyze and look into it. But now, when we are all calm and peaceful, we can look at our emotions and we can recognize very easily that this is not ourselves. Emotions come and go, right? Suppose I'm identifying with the anger, but what happened before the anger came? Was I not? Of course I was there, I was just not angry. So if I was there before the anger arises, and I'm going to survive and be there after the anger goes, then how can I be the anger? If the anger defines me, it should define me at all time, right? Since the anger come and go and I remain before, while, and after, it cannot be me. And it is true for every emotion. In the state of deep sleep, we don't have any emotions. The mind is asleep, is out of the way. Do I exist? Do you wake up in the morning and I don't know if I existed last night? Right? We don't have this feeling. Why? We know we existed because we are in deep sleep. It is only the mind which is absent. We don't experience emotions. If I am when emotions are not, then we settle the matter. Then it means I am not the emotions, right? Moreover, I am the one who knows the emotions. I am the knower, and the emotion is the known. I know that I'm angry. Does the anger know me? Of course not. So how can it be me? You understand this point? Emotions cannot be my own self. What about these images that we have in the mind? Of course, they are just the creation of the mind. They cannot define us, because I know that I am. And these images, they come and go. They cannot be myself. They cannot be who am I. And what about thoughts? Thoughts are probably the strongest affiliation that we have. The strongest identification that we find is with our thoughts. We were sitting in meditation a while ago, and I'm sure that all of you have experienced this little voice that is going on chatting instead of repeating the mantra as we asked it to do, right? I start to remember everything that happened today. I remember what I forgot to do today. I remember all these things coming in the form of thoughts that are going on incessantly without any stopping in the mind. We believe, in most cases, we believe very strongly that these thoughts are ourselves. This is our identity. And now we are going to challenge it. Is this so? Am I the thoughts? Well, thoughts are objects. Just I was looking at my hand, I can look at my thoughts. This is what we do in meditation. If I am able to look at my thoughts, then I am the knower and the thought is the known. The thought doesn't know me, it is me who knows the thoughts. Is it not? If I am the knower and the thought is the known, then how can it be one and the same? Thoughts are coming and going, but I am not coming and going. I am there in the face of every thought that is arising. Between two thoughts, there is always a gap. A very small gap usually, but there is a gap. If I was the thought, then I should have not existed between the thoughts. But this is definitely not our experience. In deep sleep, we don't have any thoughts. Does it mean that we don't exist? If thoughts were defining my existence, then I should have been thinking as long as I exist. But this is evidently not the case. And therefore, we have to reject the mind as being the self. Again, I say this is very revolutionary. This is something so different than what we are trained to think, we are believed from very young age. All of our society is making us believe that this is who we are, this complex. You know, and you have to understand also, if I am not the name, and I'm not the body, and I'm not the emotions, and not the mind, and not the senses, and all this, I'm not also all these put together. Some people say, yeah, I'm not any one of these, but I'm all these put together. No. If you have a table, right, and every leg is made of wood, and the plate is made of wood, and all the supporting sides are made of wood, you cannot call it a metal table. It is not made of metal. It is made of wood. In the same way, if the name is not me, and the body is not me, and the mind is not me, and all these things are not me, when you put them together, it doesn't make me. You understand? And therefore, we have to ask the question, okay, so what is going on? What is left behind? If I'm not the name, and I'm not the body, and I'm not the emotions, and I'm not the thoughts, and I'm not all these things, then who am I? What is left behind? We are going to put it aside for just a moment. And I want now to try to deal with the second question. Do you remember what was the second question? The second question was, what is the nature of the world? What is this world all about? In order to answer this question, we go to the Upanishads. The Upanishads are very ancient texts that are found in the Vedas, and they deal with this philosophy that we are discussing now. Actually, it's not only philosophy. Every discipline, even science, is trying to find out the reality behind this world. How do we find the reality behind this world? We are trying to go from effect to the cause. We are trying to find the substratum, the ultimate cause, which is the cause for everything. I will give you a small example. This is a cloth, a cotton cloth, right? A cloth is an effect. Effect of what? Effect of its cause. What is the cause for the cloth? Thread, right? If I take cotton threads and I weave them in a particular way, I will get a cloth. And therefore, I have to say that the reality of the cloth is the thread which is making it, right? There is nothing here in the cloth apart from the thread which is making it. But I can do the same to the thread itself, is it not? What is the thread? The thread is just a collection of cotton fibers which are spun together, right? And that is making the thread. So what is the reality of it? Is it a cloth? No, it is actually more correct to say that it is a thread. Is it a thread? No. It is more correct to say that it is cotton fibers. In this way, when we go from effect to the cause, we are getting to deeper levels of reality. Science also is trying to go all the way, and you know all this discussion about subparticles and atoms and all these things. We will not get into it. Vedanta is doing the same. He is trying to ask the question, if I go all the way from the effect to the cause, and to its cause, and to its cause, and to its cause, what is holding all this together? What is standing at the substratum which is holding everything together? The Upanishads are giving it a name. They call it Brahman. Brahman is a Sanskrit word coming from the root Bri, which means to grow. And Brahman means the absolute, that which is infinitely big, the absolute. They say there is something, there is some entity, which is the entirety of everything. It is the substratum of everything, and it is holding everything. Everything is the relationship between that entity and the world is like the relationship between the thread and this cloth. It is like the relationship between the stainless steel and this cup. Okay? The world is an appearance within this reality which is called Brahman, just as the cloth is an appearance in the thread. Okay? We will talk a little more about it in a moment. Now, we asked the Upanishads, thank you very much. It's very interesting to know about this Brahman. Can you please explain about it? What can you say about this Brahman? The Upanishad say, sorry, we cannot say anything about it. Seriously, there is in the Kena Upanishad, the guru, the teacher, is telling the disciple, Na tatra chakshur gacchati, na vak gacchati no manaha, na vidmo na vijanimo yathaita danushishyat. The teacher is telling the disciple, listen, I don't know, you are asking me about this reality, you are asking me about this Brahman. I don't know what to tell you. Na tatra chakshur gacchati, the eyes, the senses cannot comprehend it, cannot catch it. Na vak gacchati, the vak, the speech, cannot express it. You cannot, by speech, you cannot express anything about this reality. No manaha. Also, the mind cannot comprehend. The mind cannot catch that reality which we call Brahman. And therefore, na vidmo na vijanimo yathaita danushishyat. The guru is telling the disciple, we, the teachers, we don't know what to tell you about it. Well, that's not very helpful, right? What is the point of telling me about something and then saying, I cannot tell you anything about it, right? At least say something, right? So the Upanishads say, fine, I will tell you something, but you have to keep in mind that whatever I tell you is relative. Whatever I tell you is only a pointer to the truth. You know what is the meaning of a pointer? Suppose you ask me where is the North Pole, and I point over there. We go to the beach and I point, it's actually over there, but I point to the north, the North Star. Suppose you come to my tip of my, I don't see the North Star. Where is it? Show me. Right? We don't do that. Why? Because we don't use the finger as the point of reference, we use it as a pointer. I'm actually telling you, if you take a straight line from here and go another 12,000 year light, you will reach the North Star, right? We use it as a pointer. The Vedas are also using the descriptions as pointers for us, and we have to remember it. We have to keep in mind that whatever we are taught in the scriptures, it is a way to give us a direction, okay? Having said that, the Upanishads are telling us, this Brahman that you are asking about, we have a term, we have a word to give you. They call it Satchidananda. Satchidananda is a Sanskrit compound of 3 different words, okay? Sat, Chit, and Ananda, okay? Sat means truth. Sat means reality, that which is actually true. Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 16, is giving us the definition of Sat. Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha, ubhayorapi drishtontas tvanayos tattvadarshibhihi. Na asato vidyate bhavaha. Krishna says, if something is asat, if something is not real, na vidyate bhavaha, it can never come into being, it can never appear. Na abhavo vidyate sataha, something which is sat can never abhavaha vidyate, it can never appear. Something which is not real. In other words, what he is saying, if you see something and it is real, it should always be there. In billion years back and billion years from now, it should be there. And if something will have not been there any time in the past or any time in the future it will cease to be, it can never be. It is not there even now. Let's go back to our beloved cup and ask this question. Lord Krishna, what are you talking about? Here I have a cup. Do I have a cup in my hand? Well, I can drink water from it. If I accept myself, I have to accept this cup also as existing, right? Krishna says if it was not there before, or will not be there in the future, it cannot be there even now. Well, then what do I have here if I don't have a cup? We can propose something else. Let's ask the question, what do I have here? Do I have a cup or do I have stainless steel? What do you think? One option is that I have a cup. Another option is that it is stainless steel. Another option, it is both, right? Usually, somebody in the audience will say, it is both. Then I'm very happy, because then I'm going to make a deal with that person. I'm going to give you the cup, and I will take the stainless steel for myself. What are you left with? Nothing, right? Why? Because the only thing that is there is stainless steel. What is a cup? A cup is an idea. A cup is a name which is given to a particular form of what? Of stainless steel. Take stainless steel, give it a particular shape, now we all agree together to call it a cup. But what is cupness in it? There is no any cupness in it. It is, it is only stainless steel. If I now break it down, nothing happens to the stainless steel, but the cup will be destroyed. And therefore, even as I hold it, even as I drink water from it, it is not a cup. It is only stainless steel. You see what is the relationship between the cup and the stainless steel? This is the relationship between the cause and the effect. You remember? The effect is the cup, and the stainless steel is the cause. We see that the cause is the reality, whereas the effect is only an appearance. What is the meaning an appearance? It means that it appears to be a cup because of the shape, where actually the reality of it is what? Is stainless steel. You see? In this way, Krishna is telling us, everywhere you go, everywhere you look, everywhere you see, if anything undergoes change, if everything doesn't have past existence and future existence, then even as you see it, it is just an appearance of something else. You see? And therefore, he says the entire world is just an appearance. It's not sat. It doesn't have any independent existence of anything else. On the other hand, Brahman, which is the substratum, Brahman, which is the ultimate reality, it is sat. It is not changing. There are some philosophies that agree with this changefulness. They say everything is changes, nothing is permanent. It is all changing constantly, and there is nothing which is holding this together. In Vedanta, we say this is not possible. Change is always in relation to something which is changeless. I will give you an example. Suppose you are sitting in the train and you look in the window and there is another train standing on the next rail. Suddenly, that train starts to move and you feel that you are moving, right? You feel that you are moving where actually it is the other train which is moving. Does it happen to you? Yeah, it's very common. And then we look to the other side and we see the station and we realize, oh, I'm not moving. What really happened? What happened is that I took the other train to be the static reference point for myself. And therefore, I concluded that I'm moving where actually that train was moving. But when I looked through the other window, I took the station to be the static reference point, and therefore I realized that in relation to it, I was not moving. In this way, change is always in relation to something which is changeless. If I ask you, do we move now or not? You have to ask me in relation to what? In relation to Mother Earth, we are not moving, we are sitting in one place. But in relation to the sun, we are moving. Right? If I take the sun to be my static reference point, then we are moving. And if I take as reference point the center of the universe, or the center of the galaxy, we are moving so much faster. Is it not? Always change is in relation to something which is changeless. When we look in the world, we also see a lot of change, but this change is always in relation to something which is changeless. And the Upanishads, the Vedas, are telling us that that which is holding everything together, which is the static reference point in relation to which everything is changing, this is called Brahman. This is the meaning of Sat. To make it a little bit more clear, I will give you another example. We have many pots made of clay, okay? And I ask you, what is the reality of this? Are these pots, or is it just clay? The appearances are the pots, but the reality is the clay. The clay is the static reference point for the pots. The differences between the clays between the pots is only in relation to the clay, which is itself changeless. Doesn't mean that the shape of the clay doesn't change. The essence of the clay doesn't change. If the clay is making one pot or making a plate, from the point of view of clay, it doesn't make any difference. It is the material out of which all the different utensils are made. In the same way, Brahman is that substratum, is that underlying reality out of which all this appears. This is just as the thread is the cause for the cloth. Brahman is the cause for everything. It is the causeless cause for everything. This is the meaning of the word Sat. Okay? The Upanishads are telling us that Brahman which we talked about, which is the absolute reality, it is real. It is Sat. Okay? Second thing that they say is Chit. What is Chit? Chit means awareness, consciousness. They say, you know what? That thing which is real, which is changeless, which is the substratum of everything, is consciousness. In our day-to-day understanding, common understanding, consciousness is what is called an epiphenomenon of the brain. What does it mean? It is a byproduct of the brain. We have neurons in the brain, and there are synapses between the neurons where there is some chemical and electric reactions, and that fires up, and that somehow creates consciousness. Nobody up to date was able to demonstrate and show how this is happening. Nobody was able to demonstrate how matter, the food I ate yesterday and now it becomes the neurons in the brain, how matter can become a meaning processing machine, how it can produce consciousness that understands, that see things. It is called in science the hard problem of consciousness. And Vedanta is telling, of course you cannot demonstrate it because this is not the way it works. Consciousness can never be produced out of matter because these are two totally different principles. Consciousness is not evolving out of matter. On the other hand, Vedanta is saying it is matter that appears within consciousness. Get it? It is not that consciousness is evolving out of matter, out of the brain. It is the other way around. Consciousness is Brahman. Consciousness is the reality, is the basis, is the substratum. And within consciousness, matters appears. What does it mean basically? It means that the reality of this cup is consciousness. It doesn't mean that the cup is conscious. That's something else. I will talk about it later on. But it means that the reality of this cup is consciousness. Do we have any experience from our day-to-day life that can give us a little bit insight into this? Well, the experience that we have of dream can be very helpful here. Think about it. Very soon I will finish talking and we will have Arati and go to sleep. And then hopefully all of us will have very good dreams. Right? What happened in a dream? When I start dreaming, my mind is projecting an entire world. Is it not? I'm dreaming, and in my dream, I see an entire universe. I see the sun and mountains and people and butterflies and worms. Right? I see so many things, and everything is what? Everything is the projection of my own mind. While I am dreaming, everything I see in the dream is experienced to be external to me, different from me, and independent of me. Is it not? External to me means that I am here and everybody else is out there. Different from me means that I am Swami Kashi and this is Swami Brahmananda and this is Swami Sarvananda. They are different. They are not me. Independent means when I close my eyes, you are still there. Are you there? Right? When I open my eyes, I see you again. When I close my eye, you must still be there. Why? Because you are independent of me. Your existence is not depending on me. But what happens when I wake up? As soon as I wake up, I realize that everybody I have seen in my dream was not external to me, right? It was the creation of my own mind. It was completely internal. Everyone I have seen in my dream is not different from me. The people and the objects I see in my dream are made exactly of the same stuff that I am made in the dream. Is it not? My own body and mind, as I experience myself in the dream, is made of the same mind that is dreaming everything else in the dream. So nothing is really different from me. And finally, when I wake up, I also realize that nothing I have seen in my dream is independent of me. What happens when I close my eyes in the dream and I ask, is everybody still there? Well, in the dream, I think that they are still there, but what happened when I wake up? If somebody comes and tells me, you know, last night I had a very good dream about a very beautiful girl and I really want to meet her again. You will tell him, I'm sorry, it was your mind imagination. You have created her. She is not there. Her existence is completely dependent on you. Is it not? In the same way, everything you have seen in the dream is totally dependent on you. You don't know it while you are dreaming. You realize it only when you wake up. The Upanishads are telling us that reality is something like this. I have to make it very clear. They don't say that dream and waking is the same, because it is not the same. They use it only as an example, as an analogy. But they say, think about the dream and try to understand it when you look around you. Everything you look around you appears to be external to you, appears to be different from you, and appears to be independent of you. It is not. There is nothing external to you. That reality, that Brahman, which underlies everything, which is the substratum of everything, is of the nature of consciousness, pure consciousness. That pure consciousness is not different from you. You see, we were saying that the fourth question is, what is the relationship between myself, the world, and God? Now we are starting to answer the fourth question. What is the relationship between myself and the world? The Upanishads say that that Brahman, which is of the nature of pure consciousness, which is underlying everything, is not really different from myself. Just as in the dream, everything appears to be external to me, separate and independent of me, also now, when we are in waking, everything that appears to be external, separate and independent is not so. It is just an appearance. Why? Because it is just pure consciousness that manifests as all this. And that pure consciousness is the reality behind this appearance, and this is my own self. Okay? The third thing that the Upanishads are telling us is that reality, that Brahman, which is existing, which is of the nature of pure consciousness, is also of the nature of pure bliss. They call it Ananda. Ananda is a Sanskrit word which is translated as bliss. Why do we translate it as bliss and not happiness or joy or something? The idea is that this bliss is something without any opposite. It's not relative. It's not in relation to something else. Actually, this is the reason why it is so difficult to understand or to talk about Brahman, because our mind is limited to this relativity. Our mind functions only in relative terms. When we talk about happiness, I can say that today I'm very happy, but that means that today I'm more happy than I was yesterday, but maybe not as happy as I will be tomorrow, right? Because happiness is always in relation to more happiness, less happiness, misery, etc. The same way love in relation to hatred. Everything in our perception, everything in our understanding is relative. The Upanishads are telling us that reality, which is Brahman, is pure bliss, which has no opposites. It's not relative, it's not in relation to anything else. It is pure being in itself, and the very nature of being is Ananda, or pure bliss. It is something which is very, very difficult for us to comprehend. If my nature is pure bliss, then why do I suffer? Right? If it is true what the Upanishads are telling us, that my true nature is pure bliss, then why should I suffer? I should be always very happy. Right? Why is that I'm not experiencing that pure bliss which is my true nature? What is that which is preventing me from experiencing my reality the way it is and experiencing this bliss? What is this bliss? This bliss is kind of a wholeness, okay? Try to think about it not as excitement, not as gargling joy or something like this. Try to think about it as a perfection, a wholeness. Our true nature is being whole and complete. How do we know? Well, we don't know, but we have very good indications for it. Everybody have different preferences. People like different things. I like avocado, and some other people don't like avocado. Believe it or not. Right? Everybody have different, somebody likes ice cream and somebody likes something else. Somebody likes to go to swim, somebody likes to live in the mountain. Everybody have different preferences. But there is one thing that is common to all of us, that all of us want. And what is that? We all want to be happy. Is it not? We all want to be happy. Why? Did you ever ask yourself this silly question? Why do I want to be happy? Did anyone ever in the history of humanity woke up one morning and said, today I wish I will be miserable? Did it ever happen? It never ever happened. Why? Why do we want to be happy? Why is it so important for us to find happiness? The answer is, according to Vedanta, is that the search for happiness is so universal because it is our true nature. Because it is who we are, because it is our identity, we are constantly aspiring to it. We are constantly working towards this goal, whether we know it or not. This is our true nature. But again, if it is my true nature, then why I'm not experiencing it? If I am pure bliss, then why I don't know it? Why I'm so miserable? Why I feel lonely? Why my neighbor is annoying me so much? Right? The answer of the Upanishads is that we are not experiencing our true nature because of ignorance. Because of ignorance, because we don't know our true nature, because this true nature is covered up, we are experiencing suffering. By removing of the ignorance, we will gain the knowledge of the self, and we will bathe in our own essential nature, which is this perfection, which is called Ananda. You want to be happy? Happiness is your very nature. You want to find it out? You have to overcome ignorance. What is this ignorance that is covering up? What is this ignorance that is preventing me from seeing my true nature? We will talk about it tomorrow. We are going to conclude now, again with a moment of silence.